So the first thing I want to address is the fear-mongering myth that parents do not have the say in what is taught to their students. That is a myth. I know I was an English teacher in this very same building, and coincidentally, I had Rabih in my classroom. Now, I know that is a myth because every single time that I was teaching something like the Odyssey, I would have a parent, usually because of religious reasons, coming saying that their kids would not read about pagan gods. And I would oblige because they were the parents and it was their right. So I would create an entire unit. One of the books that was the most challenged was The Crucible because of witchcraft, which showed me that the parents had not read the book, because The Crucible is not about witchcraft. It's about fear-mongering, destroying an entire community and sending 19 innocents to death. Which brings me to last comment, but Rabih, come on. You knew in my classroom the first thing is do your research before you want to persuade. And you came to you came here talking about gay pornography, talking about 33 snowfish. You haven't read the book. Because Snowfish is about a young man finally finding the courage to escape his sexual predator and finding friendship in another young man who's escaping his abusive parents. Why do we need books like that? So disturbing. They are disturbing. I might not have wanted my kids to read it, but I would not have told another parent not to. And I'm pretty sure my kids would have found a way to read it anyway, just like I read Justin and the Virtue from Mocking the Sad. And that didn't make me into a BDSM queen. So, finally, why do we need disturbing books in our library? Because there are over 7,000 high school students in the district, and many of them, too many of them, are not living a Brady Bunch life. Some of them are facing a sexual predator every day. Some of them are being abused by parents, and some of those people are living in our communities and even go to our churches. And those kids, when they found that book that represents them, if there are only 10 or 5 or even 1 that can find the courage to turn in his predator, that book has done its job. Finally, I'll call him Rabih because that's how I know him, talked about teaching kids gay sex instead of Christ, the histrionics of speaking over, and bullying all of you because you all agreed with him and Mr. Twigg. He bullied you into saying yes to something that he had not even researched. Now, Mr. Twigg and Mr. Abuismail, Rabih, have violated your own code of conduct that I think they signed on January the 13th, 2020. In particular, the Article 3 that says that they need to come to the board informed. You do not come in here asking for books to be banned without having read them. And they also violated, especially you, Rabih, because I've been watching you from overseas with your histrionic, Article 6 of respecting the expression of opinions. And I've seen you talk over everybody. Now, we are in a school building where I taught. And tomorrow, kids are going to come through this wall, through these doors, expected to respect the code of conduct. And if they do not respect the code of conduct, there will be consequences. And as a teacher, I know that we teach through modeling. And you have to model. They have violated your own code of conduct. And for that, they should be censured, at the very least. And Mr. Abuismail and Mr. Twigg, you are elected official of a government office. You're under the Department of Education, and you bringing your personal belief in here, especially you, Rabih. Christ,
Ms.
that's
Glass,
a definite.
Forgive me for interrupting, but your time is
They have violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment.
Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. Well, for as long as they've been on this board, they have been showing the people watching on TV who they are. Monday night was just the latest in a series of uncivilized, unproductive behavior that makes a mockery of every aspect of their job as school board members, from refusing to wear masks at a meeting, which is a policy that they impose on the rest of us, to grandstanding, leaving early, pacing for the camera, being on their cell phones or technology devices, which any of my former students know you'd get yours taken away till the end of class in my room, and directly insulting other board members. They have been lowering the bar for civil decorum and behavior for months now. I cannot express how revolting, as a former English teacher, a human being, and an American, I found your comments last week.
Mr. Twigg, the screaming, the nasty comments, the insults you have thrown at your fellow board members and the employees of this school district for months are reprehensible. Your habit of getting up, walking around, leaving the dais is distracting, intentional, and unacceptable. I can't imagine any other professional board that would accept such behavior. As for you, Mr. Abuismail, where should I start? Your shenanigans of going off the rails and stopping the meetings, riling up the audience, leaving the dais to mingle with the audience is unprecedented. Let's cut to the chase. Your attack on our school's libraries last week was unacceptable. There are 34 school librarians employed by this school system. You made a broad statement that, with no data to back it, that the librarians have failed. These are employees of the school district of which you sit on the governing board. You publicly, and with no basis in fact, professionally slandered them. I believe they have the right, individually or as a group, to file a human resources grievance against you, and I hope they do.
Order, please.
They also have the right and cause to file a grievance against the entire board for failing to stop your rant and instead take them away from the job they were hired to do. Grow up, Mr. Abuismail. Your excuse for calling for book burning was that you were frustrated. If you are so immature that you can't conduct yourself in a professional manner while serving on this school board, you have no business remaining in this position.
First, in regards to the parents who brought their issues with the questionable books to light. If at first they had spoken to the librarian and or the principal had directed the parents to the librarian, much of this could have been avoided. Spotsylvania County Public Libraries, K through 12, have over 330,000 books in its collection. We 34 librarians at all levels simply cannot read them all. The librarian could have explained how books are chosen through professional reviews, publisher suggestions, and reviewed subscription services. These books in question would have been put through the process of our reconsideration policy. This allows the librarian to review said titles and, if needed, create a panel to review the literature and, if voted upon, remove them from the collection. In regards to the curated collections, yes, we have LGBTQ+ books, and students do ask for them. Much like you don't need to search for books in English because the majority of our books in our libraries are in English, you do not need to search for heterosexual books since the majority of our books feature straight characters. Because on this particular day, the parents found the LGBTQ+ collection first on the screen, does not mean books within this collection are being pushed on anyone with a clandestine agenda. Additionally, it is hurtful and heretical that we as librarians are somehow pushing pedophilia and grooming literature on our students over a singular book. Secondly, in regards to how the situation was handled last week, we as educators have recurring training and trauma and de-escalation training. Mr. Twigg and Mr. Abuismail, when the upset parents spoke before the board, you as professionals should have remained calm and replied as such. We hear and understand your concerns. We do not take them lightly. Let us look into this matter with our librarians. They are the trained professionals. Side note, most of us have a master's degree and 2 teaching licenses. We will see how books are acquired, collections are made, and more specifically into the books of your concern. We want to be sure we understand everything before we speak further on the matter. Instead, you fed into the emotions of the parents and heightened hysteria with your off-the-cuff comments.
And the last one hits me hard. My wife is a librarian for the school system. You're saying she failed? How dare you? To slander the name of a highly qualified educator who holds 2 master's degrees and has served our county for 15 years alongside the other 33 librarians is completely uncalled for and inexcusable. And now you sit up there as an elected member of the school board, half the time grandstanding to your base and the other half arguing and interrupting other members when they have the floor. You need to learn some decorum, sir. You need to learn some respect. You need to learn about how to represent an elected office, and you need to learn how to act professionally.
My plea is that you come into a decision that is good for all students in this county. The education of children is one of the most important functions of a civilized society. Please don't take your responsibilities lightly. Don't allow this school board to be hijacked by a few radicals exerting undue pressure. A quick decision often turns out to be the wrong decision, and this has been a perfect example of that. Thank you.